Hey guys, so I made a video last week and I need to do a follow-up to let you know what my thoughts are after last week thinking about possibly getting back into a little bit of sawmilling. So let's have a seat and we'll have the conversation. This is my update video to talk about some questions that I was asking last week to my faithful YouTube friends about if I should get back into the sawmilling business, if it seemed like a good idea to do so. There was pretty much overwhelming support. I kind of expected that from you all because I established the entire YouTube channel pretty much around all sawmilling videos. You know that I do woodworking and stuff like that, but those are not the videos that most people come to watch when they see a channel that's called Southern Indiana Sawmill. And so I would say 99.9% of you, almost 100%, said yes, go ahead and get yourself another mill. So what I want to do in this video is talk about my reasons that I think I will get a sawmill. I have not 100% said yes yet, but all the important stuff is there. I have the spousal approval factor. My wife says this doesn't look like a horrible idea. And she's been more complimentary than that, you know. She said, yeah, I think this could be a good idea. So what is it going to take for me to get back into the sawmilling business? I have a video actually that explains a little bit about this. If any of you are watching this video and you just so happen to be wondering to yourselves, what would it take for me to start sawmilling? I have a video called, Can You Make $1 Million in the Sawmill Business? And that goes through and explains in a little bit more detail about what it would actually cost for you to run a profitable sawmill operation, just sawmilling alone. So what is it going to cost me this time around? As most of you know, if you watched the last video, I sold the sawmill that I had. I sold the truck that I had. I sold the skid steer that I had purchased. And I sold all the blades and everything that went with my old sawmill. And so now I'm in a situation where to get back into it, it's going to cost something. So what is that going to cost? Well, it's going to cost, according to my estimation, between $20,000 to $25,000 to get back in. How do I arrive at this number? Well, I'm going to need a sawmill, first of all. And that's not going to come free. And so I need to get a sawmill. And my thoughts on this are, first of all, that Wood Mizer does have the current promotion going, and their cheaper mills like the LT15s would probably serve my purposes with what I'm looking to do. Of course, you can always go bigger. You can always go with something hydraulic and stuff like that, which is a real lifesaver. We all know that. But the LT15, probably just standard mill, would probably be fine for me. I'm not really looking to keep cutting slabs. I'll make another video someday explaining why the slab market is going to die out within the next couple years. But I don't really see a need for a wide. The overwhelming majority of the logs that are harvested nowadays are too small to even cut full width on a wide. But anyhow, so I have some options there. I can get a brand new Wood Mizer LT15 with the current promotion, or I could get a used mill. But either way, I don't really want to spend more than 10 grand on whatever the next mill is. As a matter of fact, it may be impossible even to find a mill, a decent mill, for anything less than say 7,000 or 8,000. I found some out there. Boy, they are in rough shape, I tell you. A used sawmill, a used Wood Mizer for 6 grand is generally going to be something old and worn and rusted out. Something comparable to, let's say, a 1970 Ford F150 with 800,000 miles on it. Let's just put it that way. It's not something that you can find very easily. And just to add on top of that, within the 10,000 range, it's going to be pretty much impossible, I think, to find a good hydraulic mill in that range. And so that's kind of why I'm thinking the way that I'm thinking. To accompany the mill, I'm going to need some kind of a shed or an enclosure that I can keep the mill in. And I think I have an in on this one because I have a friend who is willing to pretty much donate me materials to build the shed that I need. A couple years ago I was looking to build a big barn, and this friend was willing to donate because he has a business that does barns and stuff like that, actually reclaiming barns and taking the old materials and essentially building me whatever size barn that I needed. This is a tremendous act of giving. And I don't ever take things like that like granted, or friendships like that for granted. But I have to build a shed. I never had a shed for my old mill, and some of you might think that, well, how could you do that? That's neglecting your mill. Look, I always had it covered up. I always maintained that mill. It ran perfectly, as you saw in all of my videos. But here this time, I'm looking to pretty much only stay stationary with it. And so I need some kind of shed or enclosure, especially because it rains like 10,000 inches of rain every spring here in southern Indiana. And so I need something just to keep me under it and keep it dry, and so I can still work even if the conditions aren't perfect, you know. So a shed is the second thing. There's a third thing that I need to think about. The third thing that I need to think about is something to move these logs around with. So before I had a skid steer, and I spent, I think I spent around $12,500 on the skid steer that I had. I got a decent deal on it, but then a week after I had it, it blew a head gasket. That cost me $3,500 at Bobcat to get it all replaced because it needed some other things along with the head gasket. And so that was a disappointing expenditure there in the business. But I'm thinking this time that I might just want to get a tractor. And I'm thinking a tractor maybe $5,000 or less. If it has a front loader, even better, but not totally necessary as long as the 3-point hitch on the back works. It would be nice to have hydraulic connections in the rear for some other implements for doing stuff around the home here, as we're becoming more and more of a homestead type of life here in our house. So that's what I'm thinking there, maybe around $5,000 for a tractor. Also, I'm gonna need a different truck. The truck that I have is a fancy 2013 Lariat F150 Super Cab, like every bell and whistle you could imagine on it. I got this truck because the truck I had before that, a tree fell on it and just totaled it. I mean, just smashed it. And my insurance company gave me $1,500 more than what it was actually worth because I'd only bought it 6 months before that. And I took that money, and through a connection with a friend who gave me a deal on a truck, I took the money from the insurance in the old truck and I rolled it into that one. But it's way more truck than I need, and it's kind of a designer, it's a fancy truck, you know. It's not a work truck, not something you want to get scuffed up and get dents in and stuff like that. It's not a working truck, and it's not a heavy duty truck. It's a normal half-ton, but the thing is just fancy as can be, way more than someone like me would ever even really need. It's nice driving it, not gonna lie, but it's more than I need. And so I'm gonna be looking to get a truck that is more like in the $4,000 or $5,000 range again. And so between a $10,000 mill, a $5,000 tractor, and a $5,000 truck, that gets me around the $20,000 range that I'm estimating to get all the way back into the business. I think it's important for you all to know this and my way of thinking through this, because it lets you know that, look, we're all just living according to what we can do. There are people out there that don't have as much resources as I have, and they would have to start even less. There are people, though, I know, I mean, I built furniture and cabinets for most of their homes and the architectural millwork in most of their homes. There are people that the dollar amount I'm thinking about is like a week of pay. And so for them to do something like this, not that they would, but for them to get into this, you know, they could spend 100, 150 grand and not even think about it necessarily. But we all got to live according to the way we're living, and we have to think through our decision-making processes, you know, essentially so that we don't lose it at the end of the day. And the thing to consider is this: how am I going to get the money to pay for all this? I don't have the 20 to 25 grand just sitting around. Very few people do, I think. That is going to come from the good old-fashioned way of always assuring success, and that is through the means of sacrifice. So here's what I'm going to do. I have that fancy truck I was talking about. I have a pretty nice motorcycle. I have a fancy guitar that sat in the box for a year and a half and I've never played it. I have some other little things around the house. I have an operator seat for a Wood Mizer that would fit on any of the portable bed sawmill bases, an LT35, an LT40, LT50, it would fit an LT70, it would fit on any of those. And I have an operator seat that I can sell. Wood Mizer sells those for like, I think over $1,000, and I would only be looking to get like $400 or $500 off it. It's a used, you know. And so I'm going to try to sell all those things to get the money, to get the capital that I need to do what I want to do here. One thing I'd like to know for some of you that maybe has some farm experience or some tractor experience, because I really don't have much, is what size tractor do you think I need? I'm thinking around a 50 horsepower tractor. It needs to be able to lift a couple thousand pounds probably on the rear hitch. It probably needs to be able to lift, you know, close to a couple thousand pounds, 3,000 pounds on the 3-point on the back. I think a 50 horse tractor, most of them will do something like that. If it has a front loader, even better, and I can push things around or lift things. What size tractor do you think would be great for something like this? Or is there a better way to do it? So one of the things that I'm going to have to deal with over this next couple months and trying to get this set back up now is we all know that we're living in this coronavirus season, and nobody knows when it's going to be done. Nobody knows when the government is going to say you can all go back to work now. But no one's really going to be buying much stuff right now is my prediction. And so it may take me 2, 3, 4 months to get some of this stuff sold before I can get the capital to take this next step. On a side note on that, you know, Wood Mizer is having their sale right now, which is approximately 10% off. Do you know what Wood Mizer gives returning owners in purchasing new mills? 3%. 3% off. Look, I love Wood Mizer. You all probably know that. But 3% for a returning Wood Mizer owner, that doesn't even cover tax. I mean, there needs to be some greater incentive than that. Whoever is running that department, that sales department, needs to think about that. And needs to also think about, because I called them and asked them this question, and I'm not trying to sound entitled. That's not me, you all know that. But when you have channels that have millions of views and you are constantly promoting the product, and you are a returning owner looking to purchase a new mill, I would think they could do something better than that. You know, 7%, 10%, just cover tax, cover shipping, something to go along with that. But anyhow, I'm probably not going to get the deal on their current promotion, which is it's a pretty good deal, I think, because of just how long it's probably going to take to do some of this stuff. But that's okay. We can be patient and we can wait, and it's going to happen when it's going to happen. That's no big deal. There's a lot of other things that can be done in the meantime. You know, the shed could get built in the meantime. If I sell one of those things, I can get the tractor first and really start going on a lot of those things, getting logs on the property, and I think the sawmill would probably be the last thing that would come on the property anyhow. So there's some ways to go around that. But what do you all think? Here's some things that I would like you to think about to see if you could help me in this. Number one, does any of you out there have a sawmill that you would be willing to sell? I am brand preferent. I just got to let you know that. I'm looking for a Wood Mizer. I'm not looking for a Hudson. I'm not looking for a Norwood. I'm not looking for a Lucas mill. Wood Mizer has just given me loyalty over the years that I've had it, and I really do think it's the best mill. And so does any of you have a Wood Mizer out there that is in good condition that you would be willing to let go for $10,000 or less? That's the question. I know a lot of you people out there are sawmillers already watching this video. Do you know somebody who is possibly going to be selling it? This is what I'm asking. Secondly, would any of you be interested in buying my truck or buying my motorcycle. I will put links below on this video. If they sell, I will remove the links from this video so that they're not on here forever. And let me know what you think. It would be nice to meet you. You could come and buy the truck, you could buy the motorcycle or any of these things, and come on by and we'll give you a little tour of the shop, and that can just be a bonus on top of that. Does anyone out there have like a Ford 3000 or a Ford 4000, maybe a Ford 4000 tractor or something comparable to that, that you would be willing to sell that is in good condition? Again, you know the state of your tractor. I don't want to get in a situation where I'm fixing stuff all the time. But let me know in the comments below, or you can message me. You can find me through Southernindianasawmill at gmail.com, and that could be a way that we could communicate and maybe get something done here. It would be exciting to include some of you in some of these future videos, so just let me know. Friends, if this is your first time watching my channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Please share the video, hit the like button, hit the bell, do all of that kind of stuff. What does that do? Well, that allows my videos to get up in the rankings and allows the algorithm to catch my videos so that I get more views and more exposure. Thanks for watching the video, and thank you for hearing my thoughts through this. I'm really excited to see what you all think in the comments below. Have a good day.